So look, I'm scared to spray this thing. I'm literally scared to spray it right now because I'm afraid people gonna start spawning and try to smell a kid. This is like one of the biggest compliment getters that you'll ever find. This is gatekeeping energy right here, but I'm gonna share it with you guys because you guys are always here for me. So let's get into this. If you haven't guessed, guys, today we're gonna be doing a review on Parfums de Marly Oajan. Now, if you've been following the page, you guys know I talk a lot of smack about Parfums de Marly. I think it's one of the most hyped brands. I'm not gonna lie. This house is overhyped. I've smelled multiple scents from this house and it just doesn't do it for me, especially on a level that they talk about this thing. They talk about this thing like it's the next coming, guys. I could name 5, 6, 7 houses that easily smack this thing. So I don't know why people continuously bring this thing up as like a top 3 house. It's not. But I will say Oajan, After, they got a couple nice scents, but this one, this is where they earn a rank in my book. This is where I actually got to put some respect on a name, because everything else they was dropping mid, skip. But this thing is not of that caliber. This one is such a banger. It really almost probably saved the whole house, in my opinion. Anything else from this house, I think it's not notable. It's not nothing that you can't find anywhere else. Even the Afla, I got the dupe in May. Look, this is how you know as a house you doing something wrong. Your dupe is like one of the few, like 99% similar identical dupes on the market. Like somebody got a dupe that's coming 99% exactly what one of your best sellers is doing. So with that being said, guys, we are going to check out the scent. I'm not going to hold you up too long. As you could just tell, I've been in a really good mood. I'm going back to back with some of my favorite scents. So I hope you guys have been taking notes because we're going to keep these coming. I think the next one I do is going to be we're going to get a little more critical, but for now, let's enjoy this. Oajan. Oof. We're gonna do a little something. I'm trying to hold on to my last little dab of this shampoo I got. I gotta get another bottle of this when I get back in the States, but whew, I got a nice little, that thing chunky. That thing chunky monkey. Oh my goodness. We're going to let this thing macerate. This is such a nice scent, guys. This is one of my, like I said, one of my biggest compliment getters. I like to think this is like a combo scent. If you guys have ever smelled Naxxus from Xerjoff, think of this being like a vanilla amber take on that. With patchouli, a bit of musk. Oh my goodness. But that Naxxus is known for having like a nice, sexy, subtle appeal, but also a bit sweet with the honey. And this is exactly like that, but just mixed with vanilla amber. So think of your most favorite vanilla amber fragrance. Think of like Grand Soir, something like that. And combine that with Naxxus, and you get a basic blueprint of what this scent is trying to do, what Oajan really does. I'm a huge fan of Grand Soir, so smelling this take was extremely pleasing. Not only that, but I love how they added that patchouli. I think the patchouli is like the separator here. That patchouli, it bumps everything up a bit. And it's an extremely complicated scent, but it's so well blended. It covers everything up in a nice package, and it places that bow on it. So, and one thing that definitely stands out about this fragrance is, I want to say, it's almost like a peppermint note. It's not quite peppermint, but it's this darker, more like bitter note that turns this thing more smoky. It's way more gender neutral, but the more I smell it as it's starting to cool down, the more I'm starting to get that peppermintish kind of vibe with the patchouli, and it just turns the whole scent into something different. This, along with the Ombre Nomad that we talked about, the LV, another one that you just put up right on there on date night. These should be the first things you think about when it comes to going out, when it comes to having that impressive scent, when it comes to a scent profile that's going to truly make you stand out as, you know, a first night date contended. And that's what you want to do, right? You don't want to be going there doing all the work just with your words, just with the outfit. You want to be hitting them with the combination effect. You want a little razzle and a little dazzle so they can feel that effect. And the cologne is what puts all that together. Strong scent, I always recommend people to have a decant so you could just have that thing in hand, throw it on when you want. Um, but overall, I think that this is a top contender. It has to fall in that list. I would bring this personally up to about my third or fourth favorite fragrance when it comes to date nights. And that's because you're not like one for one, you're not going to find something that hits so many different points. Extremely versatile when you think about how much land you can cover with this thing. You got the sweetness with the honey, you got the sharpness and the manliness with the patchouli. You got that undertone, that deeper, darker scent with that more peppermintish, like that concentrated uh, mint scent. And then you also have the vanilla amber, which makes that thing more gender neutral. So thinking about a fragrance like this, it's gonna be appealing on both sides. And it gets into a little gourmet bag too, like slightly chocolatey. So it's a full package, and a lot of people don't talk about Ojan enough. I think when it comes to their big boy scents, and PDM in general, I don't hear people talking about Ojan. It's kind of almost like a if you know you know thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not by any stretch of the imagination something that's super like unknown, but at the same time, it is something I think that if a beginner was looking for, they will have to scrub through a couple posts to try to find something like this, or ask a couple people, because for whatever reason, PDM likes their like everyday scents a lot. They like their Sidley, their Laden, the Apple stuff they be doing. They like all of that stuff. And the Ojan, Carelsi, like all of those like bottles that I like, they keep them things to the side except they're out there. So that's all I have to say right now. We're gonna let this thing dry down and we're gonna get back into it. Alright guys, so we back for that dry down. This is Ojan is just a whole vibe. A whole vibe. Complete package. The dry down, the patchouli is sharper. Oh my goodness. The patchouli is like really like the front runner here. It's the one it's come to shine. It's the one who's really holding the game down. I would say the amber vanilla kind of take a back seat. That peppermint note, I gotta find a note for you guys. It's bumped up, but it's electric. And overall, I mean, just so well balanced. One of the more well balanced scents that we've talked about on this thing. Like I said, such a complicated scent, so layered. But the way they did the chemistry on this thing, the way they done produced this thing, second to none in my book. Still sweet, still dark, still sexy, still gourmet. One of my favorite guys, one of my favorites. I think this fragrance the only downside to this fragrance, I think it may suffer from that same, down defect that Ombre Nomad suffers from. Is very specific in what you want to use this for. You don't want to use this all willy-nilly. I give this a little more leeway than Ombre Nomad because it has a sweeter note. It has that honey note that helps it out a lot, to be honest. It helps you, make this more of an afternoon scent, maybe a brunch scent, but you definitely don't want to overdo it, I think, before 6 p.m. If you got a nice little event, brunch, picnic, something that you could kind of get away with it. More formal though, like, one of those champagne events, a Clico events, Moet events, something like that in the daytime, you could get away with this, but you want to stay clear of this before 6 p.m. This is 6 p.m. and after scent. This is more going to be for, like I said, the date night. I wouldn't even do this in a club too much because I think the club, because it has a bit of sweetness to it and because it's so complicated, you want that person you're with to really get in that zone with it, to vibe with it. You want them to smell it. So if you go to a club, you got to deal with hookah. You got to deal with some people, what I'm saying, doing things and then they shouldn't be doing, what I'm saying? A little, some of that. So I would leave that to the side and I would truly focus on date night with this. This is a date night specialty. If you watch baseball, they got like your closer, you got your designated hitter, you got people who are just for specific roles. And this is that thing. Like, this is your 3-and-D guy. This is somebody you pull out in certain situations, and that situation is dates. This is a date scent. Movies, dinner, and it's all around date scent. And it ain't one of those things, bowling, whatever you could think of, you could bust this out. It just got to be after 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. It's going to be prime time for this. After that, you might want to rub it down and get into something else. But I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I think that's all I gotta say. But if I think of anything else, I hit you guys back. I'll check it. Do it on YouTube.